Is your yard in dire need of a makeover, but you don't have the time, imagination, or know-how to bring it all together? Have no fear. We've got Michael Iorio here.
Hey, Darby.
Hi, and welcome to the show. To share some of his backyard tips. Michael, we are standing in the middle of an amazing yard, but can you break it down a little bit for our viewers? Give us Landscaping 101. What kind of things do our viewers need to think about as they begin their own projects?
Regardless of the size of the project, Darby, we have to start with a budget. Second would be a master plan of what you're going to do. Third would be irrigation. How are we going to keep the plants watered and irrigated? And fourth would be selecting of plants from a local nursery who will have plants that will thrive in your particular climate zone.
So there are all kinds of plants in this yard, but the ones that I'm really curious about are the expensive plants. Can you show us some of those?
Sure, come right this way, Darby. Here's a Dragon Lady Holly, Darby. It cost around $1,500. It's evergreen and it will stay green year-round.
Wow, what else you got?
Come right this way, we have a Kousa dogwood. Here's a moderate-priced flowering tree. It's a Kousa dogwood. Price ranges around $500.
Okay, great. So what about landscaping on a budget? Can you show us some more inexpensive plants?
Let's head over this way to this part of the yard. Here's an area, Darby, where we have some less expensive plants. We range from $2 up to $200. We have some annual impatiens here that range about $20 for a flat of 40. Behind them we have some perennials, assorted perennials. Next we have a Japanese akuba, around $48 a plant. And the final, in the background, we have some rhododendrons that range about $200 a plant.
So really what I'm seeing here is even if you have a tiny space and a tiny budget, you can still do some amazing things with landscaping.
That's correct, Darby. We have a perfect illustration of a three-dimensional landscaping approach with our larger plants in the background, next a lower tier, and then a smaller tier in the front, completing your landscape picture.
Okay, so what about using landscaping to cover up some of the more unattractive aspects of your home?
I have a perfect example, Darby. Let me show you.
Okay.
So what we have here, Darby, is Manhattan euonymus on trellis. It's a very hardy plant and doesn't require a lot of care.
But what you can't see is that hidden in here is an air conditioning unit. Sneaky.
Come on, Darby. Let me show you a couple of the other things we've done here.
Okay. So talk a little bit about plant placement. How far apart should the plants be from one another?
A good rule of thumb to use is 18 inches off center, Darby. No matter how big or small the plants are, if you're around 18 inches, the smaller plants won't look overwhelmed or crowded in next to the bigger plants.
And what about sun and shade in terms of placement?
It's important to know how much sun you're going to have. Some plants require sun most of the day, some require a little less sun and shade. And with your local nursery, he can help you out there, choosing some plants that will grow in a shady area or a very sunny area.
Okay, so what about some final words of advice for our homeowners?
Budget and master plan. Huge project doesn't have to be done in one season. It can be phased in, a phased approach. Do one flower bed in the front of the house one year, another flower bed in the back of the house the following year, and pull it and tie it all together.
So have a little patience and you can end up with a gorgeous yard.
That's correct, Darby.
So I think what we've learned today is that no matter how big your yard or your budget, with a little time, patience, and the right plants, you too can have your own little or large Garden of Eden.